Hmm. What's up, guys? This is Strange Skull. I know it's weird. It's kind of retro doing a video in my truck again. Well, there's a reason for that. I just got done seeing the new Morbius movie, and oh, this was a movie I was never thought I would see, and I was kind of I was really hoping this would be a really good movie. I mean, it was delayed, and I thought, like, well, how's this going to tie into the MCU? It looked okay from the trailers. Then it kept getting pushed back, and then with COVID and all that bullshit, here we are. It's finally released. And I know everyone was sending me articles and telling me, oh, it's a shit movie. It's a shit movie. I'm like, most of the time, I have to see it for myself because a lot of times I don't trust people's opinions anymore because I'm tired of hearing about the SJW horse shit. Because I think, quite frankly, some of us, myself included, we get a little too wrapped up in the politics bullshit. So I decided to go see Morbius. I just got out of it. It's a Friday. I saw it 11:40 showing. It was me and two other people in this movie theater, and I showed up late. Well, that was an hour and 44 minutes I wish I could have had back. This movie did not feel like a typical what we've been getting with comic book movies. This felt like a 2003 comic book movie. What I mean by that is it literally felt like this movie, Morbius, could have fit right along with Ben Affleck's Daredevil and that shitty Elektra movie. It literally, the look, the feel, just even the way the dialogue was, it felt like an early 2000s comic book movie, just with a little bit better effects. I mean, granted, I'm not going to sit here and claim to know every single fact about the comic book character Morbius. My only experience with Morbius is from the few comic book appearances I've seen him in, and that's more of the modern stuff. And my first introduction to the character was the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, and they drastically had to change the character because of FCC regulations and not having a real vampire on a kid's show and actually having him feed on blood. Now, in this movie, it's like all over the place. It starts off, like, you literally start off like in the middle of it. He's in Costa Rica, and he's capturing a bunch of bats, and you don't fucking know why. Then we get a pseudo flashback to his origins in Greece, which is a little weird because, again, it's like you don't get any explanation of his background. It's just he has this rare disease that they never talk about. And like I said, this movie is just like, I can see why people are panning it now. It does not fucking explain anything. I know I'm not doing a good job of explaining it right now, but like the fucking movie didn't either. I mean, I didn't even know Matt Smith was in this fucking movie, and then he just shows up. But anyway, the plot is Michael Morbius has some debilitating disease where he has to get... They really don't even, like I said, they don't explain his disease. Other than the fact that, like, somehow he's dying, or he's supposed to be dead, and he's all shriveled up, and he has to give, like, blood transfusions. Now, Morbius in the comic books, if I remember correctly, didn't have a disease. He was trying to cure a disease back in his home country of some Eastern European country, and he comes across Spider-Man, in Spider-Man's world, and he was trying to conduct an experiment a la Doctor Doom, and a bat just happens to come through, bites him, and he turns into a vampire, the living vampire. And they make a lot of those puns in this movie. They don't say the living vampire, but they make a lot of vampire puns. But anyway, in the movie, they just show him as a kid. He meets this other kid who's just like him. They had the same disease. Again, they don't fucking tell you the disease, just that they're dying. And they need blood transfusions. So I'm guessing it's where it's like something must be wrong with their kidneys or something. It's like their body can't filter their blood or something. And somehow he takes that with bats, have vampire bats, since they feed on blood. They have a gland in their stomach or something that lets them decoagulate blood. And apparently that's like something with his disease where it's like his blood, I guess, is coagulating, or it's not, and it's killing him. So he mixes this up with a pseudoscience bullshit, and they go out on a boat in international waters, and he turns himself into this vampire. And of course, it follows typical monster movie where it's like he's trying to cure himself. He does like the tests on himself, finds out his abilities. Yeah, he's got typical vampire stuff, super strength, speed. And it's weird. It's like they almost make it like he can teleport, but it's not. Like I said, it's got weird shit in it that they don't explain a fucking thing about. But in terms of like the world he's in the world where Venom happens. Because you hear background talking about, that incident in San Francisco. So he's in the world where Venom already is there. But now they always kept showing like this mural of Spider-Man saying murderer. Now, I did look away like one or two times to check my phone for the times. I didn't see that mural in this movie at all. So maybe they cut it out or they blurred it out. I'm not sure. I didn't fucking see it. But anyway, he gets, he's on that boat. He kills everyone when he turns into a vampire except Dr. Bancroft, his assistant, love interest in the movie. She gets, funniest fucking thing, she gets the typical trope in a movie where she bangs her head and she's like in a fucking coma. Pretty much. But he gets back to shore after he calls it in. The boat gets somehow towed in. FBI's investigating everything. And he's back in his lab and he's doing all these tests on himself. And of course, since he's a brilliant scientist, he created artificial blood. So that's what he's feeding on, because he doesn't want to drink human blood. But the artificial blood only keeps him devampired for 6 hours, but it's getting less each time. And his little buddy that he had as a kid, of course, is a rich kid. They've both survived to adulthood, and that's who Matt Smith is. And he's been funding Michael Morbius. I almost called him Michael Myers there, sorry. Little slip there, but he's funding Morbius. And again, he's got the same disease. And now when Michael, of course, when he was developing this serum, he made 3 of them. When Matt Smith comes to see Michael when he's doing these tests on himself for his abilities, he sees oh, you've cured yourself. And Michael's like, no, it's a curse. It's typical Hollywood bullshit dialogue. And Matt Smith, of course, he takes the fucking serum. You don't see him do it, but he does take it. And he turns himself into a vampire. So now we got 2 vampires. And he frames Michael for killing someone in the hospital. Of course. So that gets him arrested, and okay, I'm just going to soldier through this, because even retelling it, I'm getting fucking bored. Michael gets arrested. They do the typical bullshit. The 2 FBI agents, they try and be funny. One is Tyrese Gibson from fucking the Fast and Furious movies, and the other guy, I don't know. I don't even know the dude's fucking name. They said it a couple times. I don't know, but I know Tyrese Gibson's name is Strauss or something. They're kind of forgettable in this movie, and they really don't do much except be typical, stereotypical FBI cops in a movie. So he gets arrested. Matt Smith comes in as his lawyer, and that's where Michael finds out that he took the serum because he leaves his cane in his cell. And they do the scene with Matt Smith from The Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey, where he's walking limp and his leg gets fine. That's what they do with Matt fucking Smith as he's walking out of the prison. And he leaves a vial of blood for Morbius to drink, and he drinks it, gets pissed off, breaks out, then they have a vampire fight into the New York subway system. Matt Smith kills a bunch of people, and of course, why I say this is, I feel this is like an early 2000 superhero movie, is it follows the tropes. Even the Venom movie followed this, where the good guy, even though the good guy gets his powers first, he has trouble doing shit with his powers, but the bad guy, who's had it less time, somehow must have got like the cheat codes or something, and he just knows how to fucking do everything. Like, better than the hero. I mean, Matt Smith's like in total control of his powers, and he loves it, but Michael, even though he's had it, played around with it more for almost like 2 days, is still like at the beginner level. It doesn't make sense. So it kind of took me out of it a bit. But anyway, Matt Smith, is like, oh, come on, we're buddies, we're better than everyone. Typical bad guy bullshit, in these movies. And Michael figures out he can fly like a bat, like glide around. Don't know how it happens. They don't fucking explain. You just see a bunch of wavy shit. And that's the other thing too in this movie. They have this effect where it's like a blur, like a purple like blur. Almost looks like magic going around him, but I'm guessing it's like sound waves because he's a bat. He's got like echolocation shit. It's weird. And again, they don't fucking explain it. So anyway, more typical bullshit. He's hiding from the cops. Dr. Bancroft, he gets her to steal him shit from his lab, and then he goes and sets up another lab, and apparently, he goes to set up another lab, but apparently a bunch of guys who are running a counterfeit scheme with money has enough equipment that he could set up a lab. Does that. She comes in, helps him. And then, of course, like I said, it almost follows the same fucking tropes of those early 2000s Marvel movies, like Daredevil and Elektra, and even Punisher Warzone. And even the fucking Ghost Rider movie. It's like they go on the rooftop, they have their first fucking kiss. Matt Smith sees it, is fucking jealous, which I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose. There is this undertone where it's like, he's kind of like, I got the tone where it's like, are these two in love? Matt Smith and Jared Leto, are they got a bang? Because again, it's not like male friendship, because like Matt Smith seems to be like simping after him, and it's a little weird. I keep calling him Matt Smith because like the character's name is Milo. I just don't want to say Milo. I'll just call him Matt Smith. Everyone knows who the fuck he is. But anyway, it's like they're doing he's doing his experiments. And then Michael finally just comes up with some chemical compound that can kill vampire bats. Pretty much it's like a chemical that can kill him and Matt Smith. Because Matt Smith's uncontrollable, going around killing a bunch of people. And he makes, like you say, he makes one for Matt Smith, and then he makes one for himself to kill him. And he gets a phone call from the doctor that's been helping him. I don't know the actor's name. All I know is he was the in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies. He played Moriarty. He's the doctor that took care of Morbius and Matt Smith when they're kids, and he's still like their doctor. Well, Matt Smith kind of stabs the shit out of him to lure Morbius away so he could come and kill Morbius's girlfriend. Because somehow if he kills her, Morbius will just be his best friend and they can just go around killing people. So Morbius comes back to find her. They have their embrace, and then he feeds on her to get that extra boost. It's just like the fucking Blade movie where it's like he has his serum, then he gets human blood, and then he's supercharged. Well, him and Matt Smith have their little vampire fight. They go through the streets. They're in the sewer. Morbius calls a bunch of bats, kicks the shit out of Matt Smith, and then stakes him in the heart with the bullshit science stuff that kills him. And Morbius accepts that I'm a vampire now and flies away in a cloud of bats. But then his girlfriend, who was dead, she wakes up. Now she's a vampire, which doesn't work because in the comics, he can't turn people into vampires because he's not really a vampire. He's a pseudo-vampire, but whatever. Then we get to the mid-credit scenes where, again, it shows from Spider-Man No Way Home when the sky's opening up and the multiverse stuff crosses over, and the Vulture just shows up in a prison. Yeah, Michael Keaton's like, oh, well, I hope the food's better in this joint. Then it cuts to like, oh, Adrian Toomes just magically, then he cut to like a news report, and it's like, this man named Adrian Toomes just showed up in a cell and we're going to release him. Okay, and then we get to the final one where Morbius he's in a car and he's driving out in the middle of nowhere at night to a location. He's just standing there and you see like off in the distance like a blur coming towards him, and it's the fucking Vulture. Fully decked out in his gear from the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which again, doesn't make sense. He's in a different universe. How did he build all this shit? And here is the actual dialogue. She's like, oh, hi, Dr. Michael Morbius. I've been reading up about you. I'm not from around here, but I think Spider-Man's the reason why I'm here. I think you and I should team up. And Morbius just responds with, intriguing. That's the fucking movie. Ugh. Again, I really wanted to like this movie, but I don't know how many scripts they went through to where they decided on this piece of shit. But it was boring. It's like nothing. To me, I just felt like this is the exact proof. You cannot make solo movies of characters that are heavily tied to another character. What I mean by that is, if these characters are around because of Spider-Man, they cannot exist without Spider-Man. And it's like Morbius, if you're not going to have him in a Spider-Man movie, he should be in a Blade movie. Because it makes sense. But this movie was just... like I said, it was just boring as fuck. Ugh. Again, I'm 50-50 on this. It's like I wish I wouldn't have saw it, but then again, I'm glad I got out of my system. I don't need to see this fucking movie again. And as some of you know, if you watch Razor Fist has been saying this for a long time now. We are in the decline of comic book movies. Their reign They had their apex, the pinnacle of it was with the Avengers movies. We are in the full decline. Now, comparing this to the other superhero movie I saw, The Batman, which that one I didn't want to see. I was not intending to see it, but I just heard so much word of mouth that, oh, it's good, it's good. And that one actually surprised me. That one was good. This one, Morbius, is not. Again, it was a cool character from the comic books, but it's like, he's one of those characters where you have to just accept certain things if you're going to make a movie about him. And in my opinion, in this movie, they tried to sort of explain it, like try and make it reality, but they failed. They failed so fucking miserable. And also, I think they tried to make it a little serious, and it's like, you got to accept the goofiness of the character and not try and act like you're making a serious movie. And also, too, I swear to God, they ripped off Hans Zimmerman music. There's actually a fucking scene in this movie that's right out of Batman Begins. You probably saw in the trailer where he has like this tank in the middle of his lab where there's a bunch of bats flying around, which it's funny. Constantly, this tank is on, these bats are just flying in a circle. It's like bats need air current to glide. But literally, he opens it up, goes and stands in the center of it, and they all fly around him, just like Christian Bale in fucking Batman Begins. And the fucking music sounds exactly like it. Ugh. If I had to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, just to be fair, I give it a 4. And that's being very, very fucking generous. But anyway, that's my opinion. If you guys want to go see it, be my guest. But man, it is a fucking drag. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Strange Skull. Bye.